Johnny here for Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. We're going to be talking all about the Ford Maverick this evening, what will cause delays, what will help move your order ahead. We'll also be talking about that in regards to really everything at Ford, the Bronco, the Ranger, the F-150. And I say, well, everything, well, all the models that this applies to and the important models. Sorry, I won't be talking about the EcoSport. Sorry, EcoSport, you're not my favorite. So we're going to be talking about all that and a whole lot more. So basically what you can remove or add to your build to help get it move forward. Really, information is from a memo that was given out to dealers this week. It's really a cheat sheet to getting things built and doing things right. So this will help you with your builds. And of course, we will look at some previous builds that we've been following on the channel for quite some time to really help shed light on this situation. Of course, I do want to cover really, if you've been waiting on your Bronco, what you can do to help move it forward. We'll be talking about constraints. So let's just put the pedal to the metal. I'm going to wish everyone a very happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'm very glad that you're here this evening to talk about this. We'll be back to some more regular talk in future episodes on, how did the Maverick tow? What kind of fuel economy did we get? How was that hybrids handling? And really everything on it. But for tonight, let's just talk general Ford news. And let's kick off that general Ford news by touching on something. I did have a video just recently called The Farce Awakens, and that was about journalists. It seemed like some big journalists were pointing the finger at Ford and almost saying like they deliberately send Broncos to dealers that will upsell them, and almost as if they select these dealers. And that's not at all the case. It's all about distribution of vehicles across the country. And some dealers very willingly knew when they were told early on, like, hey, you're going to get between, let's say, 100 to 150 Broncos. Well, if they passed 150 and, the journalists themselves said, some dealers sold 1,300 Broncos and Ford is only going to sell them 150, as if Ford's the bad guy in this. These dealers knew very well they're going to get about 150, and they knew very well to start telling clients, hey, you know what, if you order with us, you're going to be year 2. And when they're, at 1,000, they should probably have been telling them, hey, you know what, we have 1,000 and we're only getting 150 for year 1, so you might be year 5 to 7. That's on the dealers. And I've had a bone to pick on that, because what does this lead to? Well, this leads to the latest news coming from Jim Farley, and I'm going to do probably a whole show just on this news to really, really pull it apart. But essentially, it's looking more and more like Ford will have a factory to customer sale process, at least for their EVs, their electric vehicles, their ICE vehicles. However, they said that they're going to take what they learn from the new business model that the EVs will be. So it's almost, well, really it is, the EVs are going to be their separate business with separate business methods, different methods of creation in regards to design, architecture, engineering, all that, all the fancy stuff. They're going to be doing it differently so that they can adapt products more quickly, come out with products more quickly, and probably so that it's going to probably look a lot like teams that are going to build this in the way that the Maverick was built. So you really had, small teams really working together directly, sort of like a same room situation where you can just work off each other, and that different departments aren't these, isolated towers that have trouble communicating together, that the Maverick would be built sort of in one big room. That's probably what I suspect highly we'll see out of the EV, but I do definitely suspect we're going to have that the dealers are not going to be selling EV models. It's just a question of when, and then we'll see what happens with the internal combustion engine models. But, Ford, I've said it for quite some time, Ford does not like it when dealers sell over MSRP. It doesn't give Ford, the company, a single cent more just in the quarterly report. Jim Farley was saying that it made, I'm not quoting him directly here, but to paraphrase, essentially he was saying it doesn't make sense how much money dealers made in regards to how much money they were making on the electric vehicles. So that's already been corrected. I can tell you dealers are already making less money in what's left for them to carry, have the stock, have a team to talk about these vehicles, do road tests and whatnot, basically to support the whole dealership experience. The profitability on the Mach-E has been reduced. So maybe dealers won't be, as sad when it goes direct to sale, but I definitely see that coming. But that's that, and that requires its whole own episode. Let's just put the pedal to the metal, jump right in. Mavericks. Let's talk about a Maverick we've been following for a while now. This is an employee's Maverick, and he's been telling me all about it, and I've been following it too. So back in June 10th, 2021, that's when he ordered this XLT all-wheel drive with 4K. Now, he doesn't have anything else, and the 4K isn't on Ford's recent official delay list. Copilot 360's there on the official Ford list. Lux package is there as well. And they mention a few accessories. And I'm not going to spell them out because I think I want to mention all accessories. I think any accessory at any given time can have it that the factory wants to build your order, but they go, you know what? 4 or 5 weeks out when we want to build this, by the time we get to this order, we won't have plastic bed liner. So even a plastic bed liner, Ford didn't list it. They talked about tonneau cover and bed extender. A lot of the stuff from the order guides that I've been sharing since last summer, those original order guide, avoid list, unavailable. Well, once they were available, they didn't have a ton and people really wanted them. So all that, and I'd say all that is on the list, but I'd say, really mud guards, mud flaps, get them done at the dealer. So this build ordered June 10th. It's a simple build. It's got nothing other than 4K. And originally it was supposed to get built. Let's see here. It was originally supposed to be built. Original timeline was December 17th. So January, we can say that December 10th, it looked like it was going to get built on the day, not the week of, but the day of January 3rd. And then later on the 17th, it said sent to plant. So this guy was thinking, wow, my Bronco's already sent to plant. Things are moving forward. But then it never got built on the 3rd, and you got a few delays. It got delayed from the 3rd of January to middle of February, then all the way to middle of May. And now it was being called for March. But ETA ended up being, 15th to the 21st of March. So he's like, this is incredible. It's moved way forward. And the good news is, as of the 2nd of March, it's actually only about 150 kilometers away. It's in Montreal. So I just wanted to share that news. You can actually get built sooner than you can get your arrival earlier than the ETA's estimated time of arrival. That's in the system. Now, speaking of odd things that can happen, I've got a build from October 27th, and I've got it right here. I'll tell you what it is. It is an all-wheel drive, 2-liter turbo. Obviously, if it's all-wheel drive, it's a 2-liter turbo, 250 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque with that 8-speed transmission already used in a whole bunch of other Fords, so I'm not worried about the transmission one bit. But it got ordered October 27th. That's when their order put in. They didn't have a reservation, and it's getting built April 11th. So really cool. EcoBoosts do get built faster than hybrids. I've been suspecting since I think it was about very late August, early September, that something was going on with the hybrid batteries or the electric motor. But we didn't have any issues getting electric motors for that 94 kilowatt electric motor for the Escape. So I kind of concluded that I highly speculated something was going on with the battery. And now we've all found out that, well, yeah, hybrids, they ended up having delay after delay. And even when the EPA numbers came out, it still took some time for them to actually start shipping them out. We still don't have anything confirmed on that. So that's still a story in progress. But what we do know is that the hybrids are taking longer. Obviously, what else can take longer? I'm really thinking the 4K. Ford has listed luxury package and Copilot. But even if you have those things, this October 27th order is proof that even if you have a luxury package in Copilot 360, because the Lariat luxury package requires Copilot 360, you can't remove it. Packages come as packages. It's a take all or leave all scenario. That answers one question that I got just this week. So that's that. Now, if you have a Bronco, I promised I'd talk about all sorts of Fords, and here I go. If you have a Bronco, Ford specifically is saying remove the protective clear wrap and remove the hitch if you want to get it sooner. But they also, and I'm going to get to this memo, it says of many constraints on the Bronco. So those are the two big ones, but there's many other constraints on the Bronco. And just 2 weeks ago, I was saying that I still strongly believe, despite news out there about the, the hard tops coming in, then the news out there was that 300 hard tops per day were coming in. But based on my calculations from 2-3 weeks ago, Ford's building on average about 400. Well, based on December and January's build numbers, it was safe to say that Broncos, they're building about 12,500 per month, give or take 450 a day, of which that means if you have a soft top, you still have a chance to jump the list. So that's one big thing I'd say. If you're still a hard top, I really do think that you'll jump the list if you have a soft top. However, if you've been scheduled, you can't make any changes. So let's just jump right into that memo because it is pretty interesting. First of all, schedulers. So that's people at the dealership. They can't prioritize, push forward F-150, Bronco, or Maverick, and they specifically write Maverick hybrid orders, HEV. So that's hybrid orders. So you don't have to worry about your dealer playing around, maybe calling someone up and saying, give me some cash and I'll move you forward on the list. I'll give you a really, I'll move your things forward. Ford knows that there's already delays on the F-150, Bronco, and Maverick. So no matter how bad someone might not need it and someone might need it, the dealers can't jump people forward in an unfair manner for those vehicles. Now, what else is going on? First of all, if you're looking at the Lincoln Nautilus, a balance out option is the Lincoln Play with DVD. So balance out, what does this mean? This means that if a new order comes in and you're asking for something, they're not going to build you. Because balance out means when a whole model gets balanced out, it means they're not going to take any more new orders, and they're just going to try to balance out, work out the current orders that they already have. So that's that for the Nautilus. Now, scheduling this week. Pretty cool. We've got the Bronco, Bronco Sport, EcoSport, Edge, Escape, Explorer, Maverick, Mustang Transit, Transit Connect, Aviator, Corsair, and Nautilus. So scheduling this week means, well, on Thursday, you can go check or ask your dealer, and hopefully they'll call you when you do get scheduled, but it means people got dates. Not scheduling this week, so that's yesterday, Thursday, is the F-150, the Super Duty, the Econoline, Expedition, Mach-E, medium truck, that's what's on the list. So I don't know what medium truck means here. Sorry. The Ranger and the Navigator. Now, vehicles that are in a balance out phase and on a watch phase, a watch list. This means these are our vehicles that we know soon. They are going to be in a balance out, meaning no more new orders. That means get to your dealer soon, work something out if you want to have a chance to have a 2022 model year Bronco. We know that that's going to be March 7th. They're going to get declared sold out. Now, the 2022 model year Expedition, the Ranger. Now on my list, this is an odd one. You're all going to say I'm crazy because it's been, the Maverick gas, 2-liter EcoBoost has been sold out since the 27th of January. Well, that looks like it's a US deadline because here it says new on my list, 2022 my model year Maverick gas. So it looks like it just got cut out. So it means that, and I've got a date here, it says February 24th. So that was sold out on February 24th. So I guess there was designated models for Canada and those needed to be sold out. So you also have the Super Duty, and that's been on balance out since it's new. It looks like it's been balanced out since February 24th, which doesn't surprise me because I've known for quite some time that you come in, if I want to go buy a Super Duty, based on my local dealer, it's a medium-sized dealership, which is perfect for understanding what's going on, because you could say it's average. And as average, it kind of falls in between the two extremes of a really small dealer and a really big dealer. But they've got a list of Super Duties, and it's been, several months now, that at least a couple months, where if you buy a new Super Duty, there is enough of a list ahead that the chances of getting built were slim. Now, the Aviator, Econoline, and of course, the Maverick Hybrid, that was November 15th for the States, and in Canada, it looks like it finally, what was designated for Canadian sales, that got sold out November 22nd. Was it fair that Ford thought that they'd sell this many vehicles? Well, I'd say for the Maverick, I just want to quickly talk about the Maverick here, and I'll probably do a video just on this, is it fair, the numbers they guessed for the Maverick? Well, here's the facts. Since 2005, the Honda Ridgeline has been selling between 20 to 30,000 models. The last year of the Ford Ranger. So I like looking at the Honda Ridgeline because it's unibody, meaning its shell is its frame. The whole shell, it's a frame. It's a turtle. It's like a turtle. Whereas the Ford Ranger, that has a frame and it's got a body put on top of it. And back in 2011, they sold very few. I think from recollection, I'll have to post it on the side here, but from recollection, they sold about 30,000. Now with the Ranger coming back, they've been selling at about 90,000 in the US. Now the Ford Maverick, the Ford Ranger, mostly only sells 4x4. And the Ford Maverick, you've got the hybrid model in front wheel drive, and you've got the EcoBoost model that's either front wheel drive or all wheel drive. I think Ford, I think it makes perfect logical sense to say if a full frame, fully boxed in frame Ford Ranger that sells almost all 4x4s are selling at about 90,000 units in the US, and that you've got the Honda Ridgeline selling between 20 to 30,000 units pretty much every year since 2005. Is it not fair to assume that a unibody, completely new truck that is front wheel drive or all wheel drive, but still not full frame, is going to sell somewhere in between the number of Rangers that you sell and the Honda Ridgeline? It pulls 4,000 pounds up to, or 2,000. I think it was fair to assume that, hey, you know what, this thing we'll probably sell 50 or 60,000 of them. And if things go really well, maybe we'll sell 1,000 in the first year. But with the internet, people learn about stuff really quickly, hear about stuff unbelievably quickly, and the demand poured in. And historically, even 2x4 trucks in the last 10 years have not sold well at all. Barely any 2x4 Rangers get sold. In Canada, it's not even an option because it'd be that unpopular. It'd be a loss of money to send them up, I guess. So what happened? Well, they sold a whole lot of front-wheel drive pickup trucks. I even doubted it. I thought the hybrid would be really popular if it was all-wheel drive, except for, of course, warm states. But about 2/3 of sales on the Maverick are hybrid. So absolutely incredible. Ford thought it'd be about a 50-50 split, and that's why there's delays. That's the definitive reason that there's delays when you have a hybrid. But don't worry, you will get built, especially if you're a summer hybrid orderer. You're going to get built, and you're probably going to get a build date pretty soon. Ford's going through, working out the orders from June, July, and August. People on the channel are already saying that they're hybrid August. One person was saying they're 11th of August, August 11th, hybrid. It just got given a date in April, the 25th of April. So that's really cool intel, but they're a very simple build. So we still have no date. We're a complicated build, I guess. We're an XLT with luxury package. So we're still waiting. And this dealer memo is going to prove that microchips, they don't spell it out, but it's so obvious that microchips are a major problem. But just to finish off the balance out phase or on watch list, the watch list is when we have a little question mark. We've got, don't expect if you buy a Transit Connect or regular Transit now, you're not going to get those. But what are not yet balance out phase? meaning they're not taking new orders, won't get scheduled. They'll just work on the orders they currently have in the system. And please don't think this means the factories aren't going to be working. The factories are going to be working very hard at creating the vehicles for people that ordered before these cutoffs. So who's on the watch list? Well, the 2022 Mustang. So if you want a Mustang, get in soon, quick, because they're going to cut that off soon. The Escape hybrid, so the Escape HEV, so that's not the plug-in, but the regular hybrid, whether it's front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, that's going to get cut soon. The Explorer, the F-150, and the Navigator. But yes, I did say the F-150. So the F-150, they're going to hit their max capacity in orders, because really being on balance out means all the orders you currently have, you need the rest of the model year of production to create and build and assemble the orders you already have. So that means the F-150 has been popular, and sooner than later, it's going to be in balance out phase, meaning if you want an F-150 as a 2022 model year, you need to get one soon. If you buy one after, it just means that you're pretty much assured, unless you get really lucky and jump ahead of the list because of constraints, means you're going to get a 2023. And once they do declare, once Ford declares something as, they use the terms publicly more as sold out, like the Maverick Hybrid and EcoBoost are sold out for 2022 model year, that just means that if you do go to a dealer and buy a Maverick, well, they can't price protect for 2022 because we already know it's going to be a 2023. Now, talking about microchips causing delays, it's enough of an issue that the memo, pretty much any vehicle that has the option to remove auto start stop, they're saying you need to remove it. That's what dealers are being told. Effective immediately, all scheduled and unscheduled Explorer retail and stock orders with the 2.3 liter engine will be spec changed to add auto start stop removal. So they want this removed. If you have an F-150, remove the start stop. If you can remove the start stop and you want to get your vehicle sooner, do keep in mind it's going to use up more gas. It's not going to shut down when you're at the lights. But I guess the extra microchips required for this are slowing things down, and removing it will help speed things up for you. Now, we did earlier in the show talk about how dealers can slow down the process to getting your Bronco because they don't tell you where they are. And I hope that means, and I'll spell it out, it's really important to ask a dealer, where am I on your list? How many ahead of you? How many are ahead of me? And because of that, how many are you getting per month? So thus, when should I expect to get my X model? But Ford's doing this as fairly as possible, because I've gotten some comments thinking that, maybe it's a conspiracy between dealers and Ford. No, what dealers are doing, some dealers, not all dealers, some dealers are fantastic. But what some dealers are doing only hurts Ford financially. Ford doesn't get any extra money from it, and the bad marketing is just awful. And I am going to have a show covering what Alex on Autos from YouTube shared, as well as Edmunds. Edmunds just clearly pointed out like a big list and the work of brands that get sold over MSRP. And on average, Ford was not at the top. I know all the publicity is going to Ford these days, but Ford was more towards the middle, below the middle of the list. The top offenders were Kia, Cadillac, and I'll show you that whole list, or in the meantime, you can look it up. But how Ford is prioritizing things are based on, several criterias, which include assigned priority code. That's something that your dealer can handle. Ideally, they either put everyone 19 or everyone 10, or no matter what they do, you can ask to be a priority 10. You've got reservation timestamp. So your personal timestamp when you reserved or when you ordered, that is a major factor, and buildability. So this is why I do so many delay videos. It's because I really want to make sure I get the word out on what's buildable or less buildable based on constraints, which buildability really means it's a mix of, what's available when it's time to try to assign your vehicle, because vehicles need to get assigned. So you've got these, lists, and when it comes time to being your dealer's turn and your turn at your dealer, well, they see if they can build yours in the next 30 to 45 days. And if the answer is no, well, then they pass on to someone else who's, further back on the list. Now, if the Bronco Sport interests you, watch out. It's right on the dealer memo. The Badlands Series optional premium package may take longer to schedule. Once again, I'm really thinking microchips. And adaptive cruise control on the 2022 Edge. That can definitely take longer to schedule. Now, really, everything that takes more microchips now, we're going to see it really clearly. The theme here, they don't spell it out, but I'm spelling it out. I'm making a very educated guess, a good guesstimate, because you look at the 2022 Nautilus, the Ultra Comfort seats, that's not even going to get scheduled at all. Yeah, orders with Ultra Comfort seats will not schedule this program. So those Ultra Comfort seats, I believe they massage, so that'd be microchips. The Corsair, 2022 Corsair, the technology package, that's going to cause you an issue because it's currently not available to order or to order. So not available for stock orders. So again with the microchips, if you're looking at an F-150, what's going to slow you down? Snowplow prep package. That is not only going to slow you down, but they're restricted for both retail and stock orders, and you've got onboard scales, and that's too bad. Onboard scales, I'm sure it takes a ton of microchips, but the onboard scales are really cool. That means on an F-150, you put things in your box, and you're gonna know how much it weighs, not only on the dash behind the steering wheel, the 12-inch dash behind the steering wheel, it's gonna tell you how much weight exactly is in your box, but on your back tail light, it'll give you a little like indicator, between somewhat heavy to very heavy. Basically, the bar gets smaller or bigger. So very cool, the onboard scales, but very much problematic for both retail and stock orders. They're restricted. So you're not moving forward if you've got that. That's too bad. I'd almost wait for that. If I was waiting on F-150, I'd say, you know what, give me a 2023. I want my onboard scales. It's just cool. Even if it's just because me and the guys are sitting on the tailgate drinking beer and we want to weigh ourselves, that's just pretty cool. Of course, we wouldn't be driving afterwards. Auto start-stop removal for the F-150 also, of course, but also wheel well liners. I mentioned last spring that plastic, spring 2021, I said plastic is an issue, and there you have it. Wheel well liners, they're just made of plastic, so that's going to cause you problems for getting your Bronco. Basically, whatever Ford you're looking at, and this is just general advice for other manufacturers, to have your accessories, your little add-ons thrown on at the dealer, because so what if your dealer tells you, hey, it's back ordered, system says we might get it in 3 months. At least you have your vehicle, because if the dealer it has that item back ordered for 3 months, that means it would have been most likely back ordered at the factory for 3 months. And hey, we want our Mavericks, we want our Broncos. By the way, I am absolutely loving my Bronco, my soft top. Neither of the soft tops are leaking. Life is good. Some people are getting really worked up about this leaking issue. I just want to mention that I was talking to, and I trust this source. He was not only in the Army, in the military, but also he was a technician. He went from the military to being in the reserves, and then he was a technician for, I think he said 5 or 7 years, working on Jeeps. And he said very often they had leaking tops, and he said he was there up until 2019, and he said often he had leaking tops, and the proof is in the pudding. The aftermarket offers better seals for the Jeep. So I'm sure, and I'm definitely hoping that the aftermarket's going to come in and find a solution. But for now, it's warranted. If you have any water come in through your top, through your pillars, like we've seen in some videos on your Bronco, make sure to bring it in immediately. And I am very soon going to have a video really pointing out what to be careful and watch out for, what to avoid to not get your inner doors chipped on your Bronco, not lose that paint on the door sill as well as the inner door, the door itself and the inner door sill. So the 2022 Bronco, let's talk about that. The memo says once you're selected for scheduling, do not make any changes to your Bronco orders. It also says that schedulers cannot prioritize Bronco orders, so don't worry, no one's going to be unfairly jumping ahead of you. Now, to improve your chances of scheduling Bronco orders, we're being told remove paint protection film and the towing capability. You can, add that on afterwards, but there's more to the constraints. And I've mentioned the soft top will get you built faster. I'm a very strong, firm believer because the numbers speak to that. But here's the breakdown. Here's the real problem. Wild track. 15% of the builds are going to be wild track, and there must be 70% demand or 60% demand for the wild track. Either way, it's way more than 15%, so that's an issue. If you have a wild track, you're going to be kind of waiting in a big line. It's like going to the grocery store and there's 10 cashier lines, and some have, it says 8 items or less. So the line's not big over there. And even if it was big, it's going to go quick. But anyways, that's a different thing. But you've got these 10 lines, and having wild track is going into the line that not only is long, but also has a slow cashier. So that's what's going on there. There's way more demand than what will be built. They can build 15% of the Broncos will be, that's its constraint. Sasquatch package, 49%. So if you have if you're asking for a Sasquatch package, it's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's real bad for the wild track. But if you're asking a Sasquatch package, it's 49%. Locking front axle, 38%. 2-door molded in color roof, 8%. So basically all 2 doors are molded in color roof, right? So 8%, that means there's a real issue. If there was, let's say, a 50% demand, or 50% of orders had asked for a 2-door and they're only building 8%, that means there's going to be 42% of the people really unhappy. So 8%, they're only building 8%, and the demand, I believe, is higher. Obviously it's higher than that because 2 doors have been a big weight, but a lot of that came down to roof. Now the 4-door molded in color roof, it's at 10%. So demand is definitely above 10%. You've got the 2.7 liter EcoBoost, it's at 42%, and the full-time drive at 76%. So those are things to keep in mind. There's much more demand. Essentially, the big one on the list is wild track. A lot of people want wild track, and I don't blame them. But I have an Outer Banks Sasquatch soft top, and that was my ticket, 2.7 liter. That was my ticket to getting a Bronco faster. So that worked for me, and I hope these things do help you out, because that's the goal here. The goal is to help you out, keep you informed. I will be talking more about the division of business at Ford. What is this going to mean? I definitely do highly suspect, based on wording, not just from the most recent news and what Ford's released, from what Jim Farley said, but also at the quarterly, at the shareholders meeting. It's pretty clear that there's a desire to split the business from the very beginning when we're talking about planification, design, to assembly, to also the interaction with the customers. But it also looks like there's, it's interesting. It looks like they're going to want to do more things like the Bronco off-rodeo events, but for different models. So that's really cool. Now, I hope all this information hasn't been too much. I hope it's not too long of a video. I really do want to present information in a manner that's helpful and at least somewhat entertaining. I don't mean to purely be like a military blanket. Those things are not flammable and extremely itchy, but will keep you going because they are very warm, but they're pretty annoying. So I hope I haven't been uncomfortable. If so, I always adjust my style based on comments. So if you don't like this really nitty-gritty news on a dealer memo to really help with, figuring out delays and what's going on, well, that's fine. Let me know and I will adapt the channel to what the community wants. I want to present information in a way that's agreeable to everyone, or as many people as possible. Until then, until next time, I absolutely wish you more cars and more power. Obviously, I'm doing a dealer memo, which isn't the most exciting thing for me. I want to be driving out, test driving cars, but if this is what helps the community in regards to getting information that's not always easy to access, well, then I'm happy to share. So I wish you all more cars and more power. I hope you get to put the pedal to the metal if that's your thing. Clearly, if you watch some of my videos, you probably figured that's starting to realize that's a bit my thing. Till next time, I gotta go hang out with the family, have some supper. I wish you all a wonderful week. Take care.